we've obviously had some feedback about saying that 10-year-olds don't have a craft. They literally can't, as you said,
No,
they can't
they
have
cannot.
a craft. There's just, it does not exist. And I think one of the most I stand by the statement, one of the hardest, if not the most challenging thing that a youth pitcher goes through is puberty. It is the massive shift of all of the parameters about her body, about her limb length, about her the mass of her limbs. It is ridiculous what she has to endure. And it shouldn't be a surprise that a lot of our protocols and the things that you're going to talk about, they really can't start until she's gotten into this point where her growth is slowed. It's a conversation I've had multiple times in the last few weeks where, you know, maybe a young pitcher is experiencing pain or didn't have the fall season she was, you know, expecting. And maybe she's late middle school, early high school. And my next question is, okay, how far out are we from from her first period? If we are within a year, if it is, you know, 8 months, if we're under 12 months from when her period started, I'm like, you got to give her time. I say 12 months because it takes time, not just for the growth to slow. Because remember, it's not just about they're going to max out how tall and filling out. It's the change that's happening so quickly. It's peak height and peak weight velocity. It's happening so quickly. It takes a year for one, that growth to slow down and to stabilize. And then two, for her to recalibrate, to find this new, and then it happens in phases. She shoots up before she gets her period, and then the real worst of it is the peak mass velocity. And now her limbs are going to get heavier. She's going to get heavier. Whether she likes it or not, it's going to happen. And so it shouldn't be a surprise that the concepts that you're going to talk about, they can't be applied until she is at a point where her growth has slowed enough that her trunk stability is at least calm, meaning we can train trunk stability and it's not chaotic. That shouldn't be a surprise, just given physiologically what she's going through.
I also think, so we have these athletes where literally puberty is just, they're a train wreck because of it. And then I'm going to think about like my own like childhood and growing up as an athlete. One, apples to freaking oranges. We all played 88,000 sports. And when softball season was freaking 3 months of the year when you were 10, like, let's get a grip. And I played at the like most competitive level that existed back then, which was not, we're talking apples to damn oranges. But the reason I'm going to bring up myself is because I never went through this like super awkward phase ever. You know why? I'm small as hell. In the long run, not great for a pitcher. But when you don't have a ton of change going on, you might not feel like they go through this big awkward phase. So you might make the mistake of saying like, oh, well, like my daughter isn't doing that. She still has good command. She has this. That doesn't mean at that age, that level of complexity of movement and intensity, even if the external variables of like the change in height and weight are not extreme enough that it throws that pitcher for a loop. Someone that young is not able to control a movement at that level of complexity and intensity well enough. They might do it well enough to execute location. And you're like, no, I've got the freak of all athletes here. Look at her. She's got a craft with rigid arm action. You can hit spots like a damn beast
with
rigid arm action. And so what I'm trying to get at is like what we need to understand is that arm adjustability is pitching. That is pitching. Young athletes can't have that. They can have good proprioception. They can have good athleticism. They can even have good patterns, good command. But what you have to make sure is that to the extent where you overdo those things, it will just further lead at all levels. The more you pitch, the more rigid the arm action gets, right? We work like hell at the college level to make sure that during season, we don't get too much rigidity in the arm action because the body just breaks down.